Are you looking to create that cinematic analog look to your footage? Well, the Dehancer plugin for Final Cut Pro may well be just a piece of software that you need. Hi everyone, my name is Osama. I'm a full-time pharmacist working here in England, but also on the side I am a big-time photographer and videographer. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Many thanks for joining us today. So if you're anything like me and you're a creator out in the public eye, the public sphere, you're always going to be looking for ways to elevate your content, as I've been doing. And one of the ways in which we can try and elevate our content is to try and make it more cinematic. It's a bit of a cringe word, everyone uses it, but hey, we're all trying to make our footage look more cinematic if that's what you're after. And one of the ways in which you can make your footage look more cinematic is by recreating an analog type of look. Now, unless you're some big-time director like Christopher Nolan working on Oppenheimer, you're not really going to be using 70mm IMAX film, or you're not going to be like Peter McKinnon really, because he's recently gone back into using film for his photography. But if you're like me, like an ordinary person, let's face it, you're going to be using digital equipment. You're not really going to be using any sort of analog film format to be filming your footage on. Now, this is where the Dehancer plugin comes in. So what is the Dehancer plugin for Final Cut Pro, I hear you ask? Well, Dehancer is an extremely powerful piece of software that allows you to emulate up to 63 types of original analog film that they used in cinema back in the day. So I was really over the moon when Dehancer reached out to me and asked if I wanted to try some of their software out. Now, funnily enough, I'd already heard of Dehancer before they even got in touch with me. I've already been looking to use their products in my own sort of projects and things like that. So naturally, when they sort of came along and asked if I wanted to review their software, of course I said yes. Now, if you look at the amount of work that's gone into this piece of analog film emulation, it really is quite remarkable. If you have a look at their website and go to their blog section, they actually show you behind the scenes how they painstakingly got the original film and sort of scanned it and managed to emulate it for the digital era. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why the piece of software commands such a premium. I do hear that's a thing that's brought up by a few other people, you know, the cost of the software. But then again, when you look at the work that's gone into it, I think the premium probably is justified. So what's actually remarkable about Dehancer, reading from their website, is that they say it's based on 30 years worth of experience of film shooting and darkroom experience. They say that it has been a project in development since 2014, led by a chap called Pavel Kosenko, who was a color scientist, photographer, author of books, and founder of Sreda Film Lab, the largest film laboratory in the ex-USSR. Talking of premiums and money, Dehancer have been very kind to offer all viewers a 10% off discount if you fancy trying out any of their desktop software. If you use the code OSAMA10, Dehancer very kindly offered a 10% discount to all you guys should you wish to purchase their software. If you like the look of what you see after watching this video, I'll put the code down in the description. So let me talk you through the different modules that Dehancer has on their software. I've got a list, so I'm just going to go through it now. It just gives you an idea of the sort of power that's associated with this piece of software. So we've got film print that just lets you decide what sort of film emulation that you particularly want, whether it's Kodak or Fuji or whatever. Then you've got film grain. Film grain, again, that's self-explanatory. It puts the grain into the film, and it depends on whether you've got 8mm, 16mm, 35mm film, and you can sort of dial the setting into exactly how you want. Halation. Now, halation is a subtle effect that you find on analog footage. I can't remember exactly how they described it, but it's something to do with the chemistry of the actual physical film. It sort of alters the colors somewhat, so when you get that effect, it actually makes it look like you've filmed on analog. Bloom, the bloom module, the bloom is quite self-explanatory. It's going to bloom all the highlights as if you're using a mist filter. Film damage. So the film damage module that recreates sort of the imperfections in the old film footage that they used to use. Film breathe. Now, from what I understand, film breathe is sort of a mechanical effect. So when they run the film through the projector, the sort of imperfections in the film projection. So I think that's what that recreates. Gate weave. I'm not quite sure what gate weave does, but again, that's another module that you can add onto your footage. Overscan, I think that's just a layer that they put on top of the footage. Overscan is another module. And vignette. Vignette is self-explanatory. It's just the same as in photography. You just get that sort of border around the film. Now, the manual that Dehancer sent me is 56 pages long, so it just goes to show the amount of detail that's being put into this software. It's not just a simple sort of thing, adjustment layer that you just put on top of the footage. There's a lot of different parts to it. There's a lot of nuanced control that you can have there, a lot of granularity. Now, unfortunately, my Apple Mac that I use to edit the software is a 2019 21.5-inch Intel i7 iMac, and now it can handle quite a bit of footage from the Fuji XH2s that I'm filming this video on, but when I put the Dehancer plugin on top of the footage, to be honest, my computer, it can't handle it. So I'm going to show you some footage now. Apologies for the dropped frames. Again, like I say, my computer is hopelessly outdated. I'm hoping to upgrade my editing rig to a Mac Studio M2 very soon. Probably an M2 Max. I really wanted to upgrade to the Mac Studio M4. Unfortunately, they didn't release that in WWDC. So I'm just going to wait a couple of weeks, see if it's forthcoming. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade to the Mac Studio M2. So this is the first example of the film emulation. This one is called Kodak XH2s. As you can see, unfortunately, there are dropped frames, but you can actually see the film emulation in action as well as the film grain. I have left all the other modules set to their default settings in this example. This is another short example. This one is called Kodak Color Plus 200. Again, because of the limitations of my computer, you can't really see the full benefits. Now, this third example is probably my favorite. It's called Konica Minolta VX400 Super, and I really like it because it gives a sort of matrix-like vibe to the image. I think it does look quite cinematic. Again, once I get the Mac Studio, I will be able to show it off in its full glory. So on this one, I've used some stock footage, and this one is called Kodak Vision 3 250D. Again, I think it gives quite a pleasing effect. And this last example, I think, is a really good demonstration of the power of Dehancer. So this one is called Kodak Ektachrome E100, and if we zoom into the footage, you can actually see the grain there quite nicely. I couldn't resist using this clip as one more example. This has a lot of the modules activated, so you can see the bloom, the halation and the film grain very clearly in this footage. I think Dehancer Pro does a fantastic job of the film emulation in this example. So basically, if you get this plugin, the Dehancer plugin, whether it is for DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro, I would strongly suggest that you do have a fairly up-to-date Apple Mac to use. It's certainly an M1, M2, M3 series. I think if you have them, you're probably going to have more luck, because it's quite a heavy piece of software to put on top of your footage if your computer can't handle it. So that's the desktop version. Now let me show you a brief walkthrough of the iOS version that they also do. So this is the iOS mobile app of Dehancer Pro. As you can see, you have all your film profiles down at the bottom. So I've gone with this Fuji Velvia 100 for this quick video of these clothes drying in the sun. The Dehancer Pro iOS app allows you to pick all these different camera profiles, as you can see. So you've got all your different manufacturers with all their respective log profiles. So this app is available for £90 a year to rent. As you can see, it has quite a lot of different features on there. Again, all your film profiles and all these different settings here that you can play around with to get the look that you desire. So as I'm about to show you on this screen recording, the iOS version of Dehancer Pro is every bit as capable as the desktop version. You've got all your different modules, as you can see below: color head, film grain, halation, and even bloom. You've got everything's there, so you can just dial in the look to exactly what you would like. Now, just one thing to note, I took a screenshot of this as I was exporting the video. It took around 8 minutes to export a 36-second clip, and that's on an iPhone 15 Pro with really good Wi-Fi. So it just goes to show, like I was saying earlier, you really do need up-to-date equipment, because Dehancer Pro puts on a very heavy grade onto any footage that you are using. So if we do a quick before and after transition, you can see that Dehancer Pro does quite a good job, I think, in my opinion. If we use the magnification tool, you can see sort of the film grain, the film scratches, the imperfections in the film emulation, and I think it does a pretty good job of converting the original iPhone video digital footage into something that looks a lot more analog like. Again, this is just a very basic edit and it's quite good. So who is this software for? This software is definitely not for beginners because of the technical nature of the software. I think this is more aimed at intermediate to advanced filmmakers. If you are any sort of professional filmmaker and you want that analog look to your footage, then I think Dehancer plugin definitely needs to be looked at and is worthy of some consideration. So unfortunately, I do work full-time as a pharmacist, so I've not really had much time to go into the software. I've only had it for a couple of weeks and I've not really gone in depth with using it. I've only really scratched the surface. So I hope to, like I say, update my editing rig to the Mac Studio M2 Max, and I want to come back and do a second follow-up review to Dehancer to really see what it can do with the footage. Do I think Dehancer is a gimmick? I don't think so. Not when you look into the amount of granularity that they've put into the software and the amount of control that they give you in the software for editing your footage. It's not like a lot you just slap it on and Bob's your uncle. This is not like a lot. It's far more sophisticated than a lot. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of any other piece of software on the market that's currently available that does a similar type of job to Dehancer. If there is one, let me know. So I hope you found some value in this video. It's just a little quick introduction and tour of the Dehancer plugin for Final Cut Pro. Like I say, I'm going to do a follow-up review and I'm going to really put this software to the test to see just exactly what it's capable of. So if you think this might interest you, this piece of software, don't forget, use that discount code Osama10. I'll put it in the description. Thanks again to Dehancer for giving me the chance to review the software, and many thanks for the discount code that they're offering you guys. So anyway, enough of me talking. I hope you found some value in the video today. Many thanks for giving up a bit of your time to be with me today. I can't wait to see you in another video soon. Thank you very much. See you later, guys. Bye.